This is a disclaimer for this episode of the Podcast of Disaster. This is a review of Blade of Courage. Everything that we will say will be as is. No images will be shown from the comic. This is a breakdown of Sonic and the Blade of Courage. Please do not pirate the comic. Please respect the creator's wishes and make sure that you read this through an official format. This episode will be going over plot details, but we highly encourage you to read the comic yourself. Thank you, and let's begin the episode. Welcome to the Podcast of Disaster. I'm your host, JCR1216, and joining me is my co-host,
Floof the cartoon.
Hey yo, I'm Jordan.
And today, we are going to have to get ready to be courageous as we review Sonic and the Blade of Courage, Chapter 1.
Hello, everybody. We're doing something different this time around, mostly because at the time of us recording this, DCX Sonic the Hedgehog, Metal Legion issue 4, and Sonic the Hedgehog issue 88 will be coming out both on the same day tomorrow. But for the meanwhile, we are going over something that was surprise announced and released within a 2-day period, which I think is probably a record for IDW at this point. Which, yes, in case you all donut. Hello. I'm hungry now.
Oh.
In case you all do not know, there is a brand new Sonic the Hedgehog manga that has been releasing ever since last year. Following off the heels of the Shadow Generations based storyline of the Jet Black Hedgehog by Yuki Imada during 2024, again, after the release of Shadow Generations to coincide with its release. Yuki Imada, a mangaka, has been working with Sega on another project, which later cultivated into this, Sonic the Hedgehog, The Blade of Courage, which is an entirely original manga created by him, drawn by him, and is still currently going as of right now. I'm genuinely surprised that this has actually lasted as long as it did, but mainly of the fact that there is another arc happening with the series, following the main one that is now an unofficial English release. Fans have been wanting there to be an official English release of Yuki Imada's work, and now we have that in the form of the fact that the manga is being English translated and published by IDW. If you all, obviously, a lot of you following this know about IDW, so no need to introduce them. But what we do need to go over is, this is the first time. This is the first time for a lot of things. First time, a brand new Sonic manga has gotten an official English release. First time Yuki Imada's work is being English translated. First time IDW is doing a manga translation. It's very interesting that there was so much fan outcry enough for Sega to wish this to happen. And, in case some people do not know, we are so lucky to even be able to get this English release on account of the fact that fans were not, as most people know, sometimes whenever the comics would come out, whether it's DC or IDW or anything of Sonic, people would post a lot of the panels online, for whatever discussion or just like spoiler reactions and whatnot. But in the case of Blade of Courage, because of the fact that it was only available under Korokoro magazine. I'm hoping I'm saying Korokoro right. That's how I've been saying it for years, because they've done Sonic mangas in the distant past with a lot of different Sonic game releases. Blade of Courage was a different beast entirely, in the sense of no one was allowed to do so, especially since there were unofficial English translations, which I was following as well. But mostly of the fact is to respect the wishes of Korokoro and Yuki Imada, no one is allowed to post screenshots of the book. And granted, again, we are lucky to have this English translation in the first place. And I will say that that's also why us here at the Podcast of Disaster are going to be refraining from talking about any heavy spoilers, because I know that in our episodes we do a lot of that. We pretty much go from point A to point B when it comes to the plot of the comics. So for the manga, we are going to be as vague as possible, but still explain what we liked
What's happening
about the manga. Yes, and what was what, where was where, who is who, and a bunch of other things. But yeah, that's basically the basis at the moment. And while we do not know exactly when Chapter 2 is going to come out, we do know that the manga is still going strong in Japan, which means very good things. And all I can say on my behalf is best of luck to Yuki Imada for more work on Blade of Courage. I'm fairly certain that he's very proud of both works he's got to do for Sega. And yeah, that's all I can really say. I mean, actually, not just in general. Yeah, it's like I noticed that Yuki Yamada is doing a lot more Sonic artwork stuff. Like on top of the fact they put out a a manga for the McLaren crossover with Sonic, the Blue Racer manga during specific McLaren events, and not to mention different poster designs and other things in his art style. Um, but other than that, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there for anyone listening, because well, I'm going to be straight up honest. Compared to my co-host here, I'm probably the only one who is in the know-how of how things are working online when it comes to the mangas. I mean, Jet Black Hedgehog and Blade of Courage are the two that I have thoroughly followed. And yeah, I get, and yeah, I guess yeah, I just wanted to put that out there for anyone listening. And yeah, all right, I'm done talking, but then I'm gonna talk again. Let's let's get to it, shall we?
Yeah, and if of course if you guys like this series and wanted to see us cover all the other officially translated issues as they're coming out, let us know by liking and subscribing. If we still have a channel after this, that's a joke. Yeah. Well, anyways, here we go. Floof, why don't you start off for us?
Yes. So, we are being introduced to a brand new human character in this series. Yes, we are being introduced to a brand new human character. Or again, if you followed the Japanese release or have read some unofficial English translations, which again I did follow, they were very great for what they did. I'm very thankful for them. I'm still following them, considering the latest releases of the new arc in the manga. But yeah, so our attention in the series is following a young boy named Yuta, who comes from Metro City. And in case some people are familiar with Metro City at all, it is the game level from Sonic Forces Speed Battle and Sonic Speed Simulator. At least that's the correlation that we're going with at the moment. Because I know that Metro City is most likely just spawned off of Yuki Imada's mind and was an original location. However, as far as I know, we are sort of like, oh, we're tying this all together to the fact that it is the same city as these games. Um, and also, I'm pretty sure that is the case, considering that um, some certain things that happen in the manga I'm not going to explain right now because we haven't gotten that chapter yet, but we do see a hint at it being based off of Sonic Speed Simulator. But yes, so uh, the story quickly goes as follows: as Yuta was having just a normal day as a normal kid until again, trying to be as vague as possible, something occurs where a bank robber is terrorizing the streets, and Yuta unfortunately gets involved when he didn't want to be. And what and we see Sonic pull up and meet the kid and the robber for the first time. The robber is a very important character. Again, do definitely go read it on your own. And upon some shenanigans involving Sonic, um, things kind of speed up quite literally for Yuta, as well. He's very nagged on about being a slowpoke. That's what this chapter is called: Sonic and Slowpoke Yuta. Um, and yeah, but despite the fact that Yuta is considered a slow kid, he has a very kind heart in the fact that he's willing to help out his neighbors and a lot of the people of Metro City. And it's also within the storyline that Sonic was trying to find him, as Yuta carries a very interesting bauble uh, wrapped around his neck, and that is what we see. In case you people see the cover, I'm fairly certain that we are fine to show off the cover of the manga, just not anything inside. The Blade of Courage, which he possesses, and Sonic explains to Yuta exactly what the blade is and how it's able to be used, and all of that in turn leads to a very harrowing journey in which the bank robber from before comes back into play and terrorizes the people of Metro City on an even higher level. And it's up to Sonic and Yuta to stop him once again. And simple as that, by the end of it, Sonic is seeing to it that Yuta is a very courageous person, even if he doesn't see it himself. Um, and to again, still being as vague as possible, it leads to Sonic wanting Yuta to join him to save the world, as some sort of impending doom involving the blade from the ancient past is seemingly coming back. So, just typical Sonic things that happen in Sonic stories. Again,
Yeah.
that is about as vague of a description of the manga that we can go over. Um, to want to know exactly what happens involving Sonic and Yuta and this bank robber I keep mentioning who keeps going around, you guys are just gonna have to find it for yourself. Um, but that is about that's pretty much about it that I can say. I will let JCR share his like his thoughts on the manga in particular, and then I will share mine because I'm pretty sure mine is going to be even longer than his.
Yeah. Some starters. I will say that this is a great pilot issue. I'm gonna treat this more as like a spoiler-free review that I've seen on YouTube. I was actually watching a lot of those before I came into this, because again, we are still trying to figure out what we can and can't say.
Oh,
We all
sorry
want
about
to work with
that.
Sam. It's fine. But I will say that I love how comedic it is. I love the comedy. That's one of the main things I praised Nick Marino for when we were reading Sonic X Godzilla issue 1. I love how comedic Sonic is. I love how funny the overall manga chapter is. It's very nice to see some fun stuff with Sonic being, silly. It's really cool to, see him go about interacting with people characters as we talked about earlier, because Yuta is a brand new human character and we haven't really gotten any human characters in a while. In fact, the most recent human character was that we've seen in a Sonic thing was Maria and Gerald. But even then, like, those were characters we've already seen before that were just making a comeback for a game. It was nice. It gives me a lot of Sonic X vibes, if that makes sense.
I do consider that to be in comparison. Um, yeah, no, I really do. I really do feel like this is like the most Sonic X story that we've had in a long time, and I'd even go as far to say is that I do enjoy Blade of Courage more than Sonic X. I know that's a very hot take, but unfortunately that's just how I feel. But yeah, no, keep on going.
Yeah.
ACR.
I will say I do agree with your point. With Yuta is a very sweet kid, and I do like the fact that we do get to see him, as we said earlier, some him going around and like being kind to other people. I think it's a really nice message. No matter I don't know if this was intended or not. No matter what your disabilities on the outside are, you still have potential to be a great person on the inside, and I really like that's a theme that I picked up on while reading this, and I think that is very interesting because we see Sonic take notice of, as you said, take notice of what Yuta's doing. There is a small scene. I'm not going to spoil it, obviously, but it showed off. It shows off Yuta's kindness in a way that I'm glad that they showed off, because it helps you it helps show why Yuta is a character you want to root for and someone that you want to see succeed. And I love that about the stuff. And I also like to say that the story also gives me some Sonic storybook vibes, with the entire Blade of Courage spiel. Would you agree with that?
I'd say I'd agree with that in some way, shape, or form. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, especially since in Japan it is called Sonic and the Blade of Courage, but it's like, this makes a lot of sense as well. I know a lot of people, especially, well, I mean, Sonic involving a sword is like, yeah, sure, why not? It's just that, yeah, like it's Sonic X, Sonic Storybook, um, very much like in line with how Sonic is in Japan, especially when it comes to characterization. It's just like with the artwork with it's just like with the artwork by Yuki Yamada. Like things started out a little bit rough with Jet Black Hedgehog, but like as the series progressed and as Yuki Yamada got to do more stuff with Sonic, his Sonic just became so cool to see drawn and everything. And like right down on the bat, it really this it's very, I guess I'm still having trouble explaining it, but it's like I missed seeing Sonic like this. Like it gives me the because I grew up with the early and late 2000s Sonic, mostly the late 2000s Sonic, and it's like I've missed seeing Sonic in this sort of way. Like it's giving me more of the vibes of like I used to see in Rush and um any other games. It's like sometimes in the Riders games as well. It's just I've missed this. Like it's very nice to see Sonic just being like Sonic doesn't always have to be like so serious or so silly. It's like sometimes he can just be just a chill guy. And even and sometimes we don't really see that as much. Like it's always like sometimes with action, but even then he treats the action as just like, oh, just it's for fun. And yeah, like of course, this is not to like dog on anyone who has their own perceptions of Sonic, or even some of the official people who drawn or written Sonic in the ways they have in other official media and such. But it's like it's refreshing to see Sonic like this. It reminds me of a time of when I grew up with Sonic, and I'm very glad that Blade of Courage managed to get this release. Now, granted, I forgot to mention this earlier. Um, Sonic the Hedgehog: The Blade of Courage is only available on the IDW Comics Digital Experience app. Um, and my guess is the fact that it's going by chapter online, but then once we get around to collecting the chapters in a full collection book, then they will start putting them out in physicals. That's inherently because the chapters are always found in the Korokoro magazines monthly, in Japan, and then they put out a full release of the book by itself with the chapters collected. So I'm pretty sure that is what we're getting out of this if Sonic and the Blade of Courage gets a physical release. Like, I saw some people, like, saying is like, they were just, "Oh, it's just a digital release." No, 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 no. Chat, you don't get it. We will get a physical release. It's just not happening now because we don't have enough chapters out right now.
Yeah.
So believe
There's a
me,
reason why we're only doing chapter 1 right now.
exactly. And even then, even if we wait for as long, it's still gonna be a bit. Um,
Yeah. And I do want to add a little bit more, Floof, before you get you said you still had some more thoughts on it.
no, I'm pretty sure that's everything.
I do want to add that I like all that we have gotten so far. The artwork is fantastic. Like it is like really nice to see all of this. And like as I've said before, there's a really good message in this chapter that I heavily recommend. We all heavily recommend you to read this because I would love to see this continue because of just how unique it is just to see Sonic like this. Some obviously it's interesting, it's new, and I think that this is something that I believe that everyone should experience.
Like, and I'd also say for the people who grew up with Sonic during the 2000s, or at the very least some people who like want to get into a new Sonic story, because like here at the Podcast of Disaster, I'm not sure if we've grasped this at this point, but now with Blade of Courage, we're now going over 4 different Sonic books, at
Yeah,
least until some of them end. But at the very least, as of right now, recording this, we're going over IDW Sonic, Sonic X Godzilla, DCX Sonic, and now Blade of Courage. And I think that's really interesting.
yeah,
What
and
a
potentially
time to
fifth
be
if I ever
alive
decide
to
to do
read
Archie
Sonic the
Wind.
Hedgehog.
And potentially it will bring back Archie Wind. I've talked about this a lot, but I may bring back Archie Wind. Yeah, and that means we'd cover 5, and then maybe in the future, who knows? Maybe we'll get 6, or maybe even 7, 8, 9, 10.
You're
Let's cover
really
every.
trying too hard.
Yeah, I know. It's called the Podcast of Disaster for a reason.
Mm.
But yeah, I really did enjoy this, and obviously, it's so cool just to see another take on Sonic, done like this. This is a fun fact that I have read from the wiki, but this is like the first time in over like 20 years we've got an original Sonic manga story.
Right, because like I mentioned, that Korokoro has done mangas of Sonic in the past, but it was always to correlate with game releases. A lot of the time, the mangas would just be straight up ripped out of the story of the games. So say like I'm pretty sure they did. I'm fairly certain they did one for Unleashed. They did one for Generations. I do know that. Maybe Colors. I'm not too sure. And as well as a few other games. I think Chronicles, but I could be wrong about that one. Um, but what I can say is that yeah, I'm really excited about this. Like it's just really cool, especially for me as a Sonic fan who's just really into like a lot of Sonic. Like I've never really been one to just be done with a book and be like, yeah, I'm just gonna stick with that as well. I'm all for what the comics do, I'm all for what the games do, and I'm all for what Blade of Courage is doing. Especially since like for For someone who recently started working with Sonic, I'm fairly certain the fact that the Jet Black Hedgehog manga was Yuki Imada's first work with Sega. I could be wrong. Someone could correct me. I will look it up after we're done here. But like for someone who started out in 2023, 24, like around that era after Frontiers and such, like Yuki Imada is such an interesting person. That is some like, and well, I mean, fair enough. He doesn't have to worry about the coloring of the manga in essentially, but it's like with how fast he worked on the series and then going from his first manga to an original manga that's still going to all these other opportunities he's gotten to do. It's like I only have the utmost respect for him, and I know that a lot of people I know love what he's doing for Sonic. Um, and okay, now my thoughts are summed up.
But we highly recommend you in if you're able to check this out and check out Yuki Imada's other work too through legal means. I cannot stress that enough.
We're sorry with the fact that this yeah, we're sorry with the fact that this is sort of a short um episode. It's just that it only makes sense. So yeah.
If we get a response from Mr. Imada himself to say that, hey, we're allowed to go into a little bit more detail, then we'll gladly do that for the future episodes. But we wanted to play it safe with this first episode. So, I believe that is it. As always, thank you for watching the podcast of Disaster. Be good to yourselves, others, and mothers, and we will see you next time. And this is an announcement. If you want to see us interview Sonic X Godzilla creator Nick Marino live, we highly recommend you to join our Discord server that can be found on our Twitter, because YouTube still hasn't allowed us to put on links. We will be interviewing Mr. Marino on August 13th at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time live before it goes up on the podcast channel on August 18th. So, if you want to see that, I highly recommend you join our Discord server. You get to hang out with me and others. You also get to feed the Lano fish. It's a rite of passage for every member here. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.
Cheers, everybody.
Bye.